Americans love their pickup trucks. Despite the ever-constant fluctuating fuel prices, sales of these monstrous vehicles surpass everything else on the market. Although Ford has consistently been the top sales champ for years, GM has always been right on their tail with the Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra twins. For 2014, there's an all-new third-generation Silverado on the market, complete with macho style, a tech-laden cabin, 3 all-new engines, and the best V8 fuel economy in the class. It all sounds quite promising, but does it have what it takes to steal the sales crown from the ubiquitous Ford F-150? Let's find out as we review the 2014 Chevrolet Silverado LTZ. Seeing the new Silverado close in on your rearview mirror will impart a sense of deja vu. The look is instantly recognizable as a Chevy truck with this massive split chrome grille and of course that large bow tie emblem in the center. Now accentuating those elements are the quad beam projector headlights and of course enough chrome to turn the front of this truck into a rolling mirror. Now my particular LTZ tester also comes with these optional 20-inch chrome wheels, replacing the standard 18s, and I gotta say, really help give the truck an aggressive stance. Now, something you may not always notice can be found behind the wheel spokes, where GM has fitted the truck with Duralife rotors. They offer up to twice the life of conventional brake rotors. Now, my particular one also has these Z71 badges in the grille and on the sides, and they add some nice off-road hardware like special Rancho shocks, hill descent control, and additional skid plates underneath. A trio of new engines can be found under this massive hood. A completely new EcoTech 3 V6 is the standard offering. It displaces 4.3 liters and pumps out a healthy 285 horses and 305 pound-feet of torque. However, Chevy expects 70% of Silverados to be sold with the volume 5.3-liter small block V8. Power is up this year to 355 horses and 383 pound-feet of torque. Now, the biggest V8 will be the 6.2-liter unit, which is essentially the same one found in a Corvette. It takes the cake as the most powerful engine in the half-ton class, with 420 horses and 460 pound-feet of torque. All 3 engines feature direct fuel injection, cylinder deactivation, and variable valve timing. Maximum towing capacity sits at 11,400 pounds, while fuel economy has become a high priority for truck buyers, and my 5.3-liter four-wheel drive tester scores 16 in the city and 22 on the highway on regular gas, just barely beating out the EcoBoost F-150 by 1 mpg overall, and claiming the title as the most fuel-efficient V8 half-ton truck on the market. Now, one of the most important questions when choosing a pickup truck revolves around the cab configuration and the bed length. My tester is what Chevy calls the crew cab with the 4 full-size doors. Buyers who require only 2 doors can go for the regular cab, and of course, if you need something in between, you can choose Chevy's extended cab with the new forward-hinged rear doors. It should be noted that if you require an 8-foot bed, your only cab choice is the regular cab, as the longest bed length for the other 2 remain at 6.5 feet. This LTZ here has the shorter 5.75-foot bed that only comes on the crew cab configuration. Now at the rear, the look is all familiar again, with some new features that will be surely appreciated with truck buyers. As you can see, the rear bumper houses these nicely integrated corner steps to help short people like myself climb into the bed. Speaking of the bed, when you open up the tailgate, the door itself is nicely damp, so those hard slams, they're a thing of the past. Now my tester comes with the optional spray-in bed liner, which I would highly recommend, and at night you'll really appreciate the LED lights underneath the bed rails. And of course, for those of you who actually carry stuff in that bed, max payload capacity is just over 2,000 pounds.
Now, stepping inside the cabin of the new Silverado, this is probably where I think Chevy invested the most of their time. This interior is simply just miles ahead of the previous generation Silverado, and as well as being miles ahead of most of the trucks in the class. Now, even though my tester is the top of the line LTZ trim, it doesn't come with push button start still. In fact, I had to look this up. The only truck that actually comes with push button start is the new Ram, so I can't really be too upset with them. But anyways, here's the key for the vehicle. It's 2 separate keys. This is the key that you use, obviously, to start the car. And then this is the key fob, which does include remote start. This is a new key fob. I haven't seen this key fob from any other Chevy. So basically, stick the key in the ignition. The gauges do a really nice sweep. I'm really pleased with this new instrument panel. The graphics look good, the font looks good, the colors are also pleasing. And then of course what you're hearing is the corporate 5.3-liter small block V8. This is basically the engine that most Silverado buyers will go with. Now, this interior, like I said before, is really just impressive. The materials that Chevy used, the design, it's very untruck-like in here. And it's definitely unlike anything else that I've seen before, that at least what GM has used. Now, The materials in here are probably where it's really at. The dashboard is just covered in leather stitching here. It's all soft touch. It's all one piece as well. Most other trucks in the class will give you like a leather stitch portion here over the instrument panel, but GM does it all over the dash, and it's consistent. The gaps in here are very tight as well. Fit and finish is just very strong. When you look at the door panels here, it's also soft touch where your elbow is going to rest, and then nicely padded right here for the armrest on the doors. The window is automatic up down for the driver only. All the other windows are not one touch. Now, at the center stack here, this is basically the star of the new interior. This is the Chevrolet MyLink infotainment system. It's an 8-inch touchscreen. It basically competes with My4 Touch and Chrysler's Uconnect. And you can see the screen itself is a very nice, colorful, well-rendered screen. Especially this is the map for the navigation system. If you wanted to zoom in, just touch the screen here. You can zoom in right here. It gives you very nice, clear street names, very beautiful renderings. If you click this home button right here, it'll take you back to the home screen, which you have your choices between audio, phone, navigation. There's Pandora in this truck. There's weather, OnStar. If you go back to audio, your sources are basically AM, FM, XM. You have Bluetooth streaming, Pandora. I mean, all your necessary sources are there. Another thing that works really well in this truck is the voice commands. For example, if I wanted to push this button right here on the steering wheel.
Command, please.
XM, channel 52.
52XM.
And you can see I basically just blurted it all out, and the system actually responded to it very quickly. If you're going to do it with a navigation system, you actually don't have to blurt it out in buckets. Just say the whole street name with the address and the state, and it'll pick it up really well. You can also just push the button here for OnStar, and a live person will actually come up, and you can actually ask them, hey, I'm looking for a really good Mexican restaurant, for example. They will actually find it for you, and then they'll download the information onto your navigation system. It's all part of the OnStar telematics system in this vehicle, which is included for a year free. Now, in terms of the rest of the interior, this is a new steering wheel on the Silverado. It's nicely leather wrapped. It doesn't have a bolstering extension here, but it's an electric power steering system. It's very smooth, very easy. The truck feels very nimble, surprisingly, just from the steering feel. Now, every Silverado will come with a 6-speed automatic transmission with a tow haul mode and a manual shift mode. You use it by the little rocker switch right here. And when you put the truck in reverse, it's got a backup camera, a really nicely rendered backup camera as well, with your distance and trajectory, as well as front and rear parking sensors. I mean, basically, if you back this truck up into something, you're just not paying attention, or you're a really crappy driver. Now, this truck is also filled with some technology that wasn't available on the half-ton class just a couple of years ago. Forward collision warning is included, and lane departure warning. But the way that Chevy alerts you when the systems are active is via this driver seat, which vibrates. It's actually really cool. Instead of, you either pick or choose between whether you want the system to give you an audible alert or if you want it to vibrate the seat. And basically, for example, if you're going to drive down the street and the system has a camera right here behind the rearview mirror, if you start to drift out of the lane and it's on the right side, it'll vibrate the right side of the bolster. It's really cool, and it's really good at just letting you know, hey, you have drifted out of your lane. Make sure you signal if you're going to do that. Other features include a nice heated steering wheel. The forward collision warning has a little button here where you can adjust its sensitivity. And then, of course, that little screen in the center there is a little LCD helper screen. It's not included on every trim. The LTZ is basically what it gives you, that screen. And you can basically control it from the little control switches here on the steering wheel, and you can choose between information. You can put your audio information, your phone information, navigation information. It's a nice little helper screen, and then of course the graphics in the screen itself is very nicely rendered. And of course, everything else in the truck, you have really good storage solutions. You have a nice big center console here. This thing gives you 5 USB ports. What do you need 5 for? But hey, at least they give it to you. There's 3 here, and then there's 2 more in this large center console. You have dual glove boxes right here for nice storage solutions. I know some of the other trucks I've seen give you a really tiny glove box. And then of course right here, you have controls for your automatic 4-wheel drive system. You have your headlight controls here, and then of course your trailer brake controller. Overall, this truck gives you basically everything you need to make your life easier if you're actually going to use it for everyday life in the workplace.
Now, surprisingly, the most common cab configuration that people tend to buy for pickup trucks happens to be the crew cab. So you're probably wondering, how's the back seat room? Well, I have to say it's incredibly generous. I mean, you could basically fit 3 people across back here, especially with this wide body, and everyone would be pretty comfortable. Now, in terms of the legroom, there's very generous legroom. However, in terms of the rest of the class, only the F-150 offers a little bit more space in the back seat room. But honestly, this is already a lot of room. So unless you've got friends that are over 6'5", they're probably not going to notice. You can see here there's a nice armrest here with a cup holder. And then in terms of the materials, the panels back here are actually hard plastic, not soft like the front, but at least it is leather stitch right here, and then you get some more storage solutions. Now, for those of you who are wondering if you can flip the seats up, they actually will flip up. Just basically lift up the seat, and you can put some stuff here in case you don't need to put people in the back seat. Now, ideally, when you guys drive a pickup truck, you really want big open spaces, but unfortunately, being in the DC area, that's kind of hard to come by, so two-lane narrow back roads are probably not this truck's strong suit, but I gotta say, it handles them surprisingly well. The new Silverado basically feels like the old Silverado, but elevated in terms of refinement, in terms of comfort, in terms of the ride quality, in terms of noise. Everything about this truck just feels very modern. The ride quality is also surprisingly supple, despite the fact that there are pretty crappy roads around this area, but as you can see, this is a very big truck. In terms of size, it's about the same length as an F-150 or a Ram. However, I'm noticing the Silverado feels a lot wider. This truck definitely is a lot wider and lower than its main rival, the F-150. Now, the steering in the Silverado is probably the one thing, or the one area that's a really bright spot for me. It offers a pretty good amount of feedback despite the fact that it's an electric power steering assist. And the ride quality is surprisingly compliant, even though I've got nothing in the bed. You're dealing with leaf springs in the back. There's nothing to weigh the bed down. It's non-independent. I mean, this is a truck. The front suspension is independent at least. Now, the 5.3 liter V8, this engine's been updated with direct injection, variable valve timing, cylinder deactivation, and it's a pretty good powertrain. I mean, I can see why Chevy thinks that it'll pretty much satisfy about 70% of buyers. It offers really smooth, willing power. The 6-speed automatic transmission offers really crisp shifts. Now, the one thing I am noticing it definitely is the cylinder deactivation. I mean, when this vehicle is in its V4 mode, you can see in the instrument panel there, it'll tell you when you're in V4. The engine's kind of sleeping. You kind of have to prod your foot down to wake it up, and then the transmission will shift out of its overdrive gear. And it does feel a little bit sluggish at those times. I mean, honestly, with compared to Ford's EcoBoost V6, that engine actually feels a little bit more powerful, and it does offer more power. It just gives you better real-world drivability as opposed to this engine, where you kind of find that the engine is sleeping from the cylinder deactivation. Now, everything else about this truck, the visibility is quite good. I mean, you sit up incredibly high, and you've got these really big mirrors here with an integrated blind spot mirror, so you can see pretty well when you're inside this truck and piloting it around. Now, there isn't too much test data for this thing, but I would say it feels like maybe about a 7-second 0 to 60 sprint. It offers really good punch, and that 5.3 gives off a really nice, mean, deep growl, and it's definitely a noise that a lot of V8 buyers or V8 truck buyers expect. Now, going around curves, this is definitely not the best place to be driving a truck like this, but surprisingly, the Silverado handles it quite well. I do notice the ride can get a little bouncy, especially on these roads, but hey, I mean, this is still a truck. It's not going to have the most compliant ride quality, but hey, this is a surprisingly tossable vehicle going through these curvy, narrow roads. The seats are also quite comfortable. And the one thing that I wanted to explain to you guys is how that vibrating seat works. Now, the lane departure warning in this vehicle works above 35 miles per hour. It's got a camera right there that'll read the lane markers. And when it does, if you try to cross them, it'll actually vibrate the seat bolster that corresponds to which side of the lane that you crossed over. Now, getting back out on the road here where you actually have some space, this is a very nice truck to pilot around. The V8 offers plenty of power. It's really quiet. The ride is good. The visibility is good. I mean, this truck feels like a luxury truck. Chevy really has elevated the driving dynamics of this vehicle, and it's quite impressive. It doesn't feel like a truck anymore. I'll be quite curious to see how the SUV versions of this platform basically drive. Now, again, when you're cruising down the road here, you can see here on the instrument panel it says it's in V4 mode. You'll have the traditional lane departure notifications on. You have the little green car icon there means that there's a vehicle in front. The car's camera system is sensing or seeing the vehicle in front, and if you I guess, approach too quickly, it will let you know. Now, the lane departure system works if you basically drift over the lane here. It's reading the markings, and it'll actually vibrate my seat bolster, and then that orange or the green light turns orange and it'll blink. That basically lets you know, hey, you crossed over the lane and you didn't signal. It's a very nice system, and you can turn off the vibration to where it gives you an audible alert, but honestly, I prefer the vibration alert. It actually does a better job of alerting the driver, and it doesn't let the passengers know just how crappy of a driver you are. The forward collision warning works in a similar way. If you approach a vehicle too quickly, the seat will basically vibrate the whole seat, and then there's a series of red LED lights that will light up on the dashboard to warn you that you're basically going to crash into the vehicle that's in front of you. Now, considering how big this vehicle is, it has a surprisingly tight turning radius. So that basically brings me to the conclusion of this review. And I wanted to start this off a little differently and I guess go over some of the positives that the new Silverado has. For one, I really like this interior. The technology in here is just phenomenal. The driver assistance tech is wonderful. The vehicle is very nice to drive. It's very comfortable. It has a luxurious interior. In terms of fuel economy, it does offer up the best V8 fuel economy in the class, and it also offers up the highest towing capacity in the class as well. Now, in terms of what are the negatives? Now, it's a pretty short list, surprisingly. I would probably say that the 5.3 V8, even though it's the volume engine, I found it to be a little bit lacking in power at certain moments. It only really happens off the line when the engine is kind of sleeping, or if you're trying to pass and it's in its variable cylinder mode. I did also notice that my Chevrolet MyLink is also a little bit laggy. I hope that Chevy will eventually update the system to where it's much quicker, to where it responds like Chrysler's Uconnect system. In terms of size, the Silverado also feels bigger than the F-150, so for those of you who would prefer a truck that feels a little bit smaller, this one probably won't do it. And then basically, there are a few missing features, like there's no HID headlights available on this vehicle. I know that's kind of my personal thing, but I like how Ford offers it on the F-150 for 2013. But that basically brings me to the end, and my particular tester is the most loaded Silverado that you can buy. It's basically an LTZ with the Z71 off-road package, and it stickers for $50,500, and that is a big, hefty chunk of change. However, if you look at fully loaded versions of the Ram, the F-150, the Tundra, they all get around the same price range. Those of you who don't need all the luxury stuff in here, who just want a work truck, expect to spend in the mid-40s, and that's basically where the LT trim level will fall under, and that basically puts it right in line with the class. I mean, in terms of price, this Silverado offers up a lot of value for the money, and you get all the latest tech features, some driver assistance stuff that isn't available on some of the competition, as well as, again, the best V8 fuel economy in the class. However, I'll be honest with you, I've only been averaging about 14 miles per gallon around mostly city driving. Those of you who get up on the highway more probably can expect to nudge closer to 20 mpg. But anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed my overview of the redesigned 2014 Chevrolet Silverado. If you guys are in the market for our new half-ton truck, make sure you check this one out. You'll be quite impressed with what you find. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all later.